Hey guys, Rez the Collector here. Today we're going to be taking a look at a video that's going to be highlighting just my Superman figures and just my loose figures. I've been wanting to do this video just to highlight them all outside of the cabinet, take a good look at them, and I was really trying to think of a way to do it, and I figured the best way to do this is to do it in waves. So we're going to start with the classic costume Superman. That's going to be red trunks, no collar, generally with the yellow S intact on the back. So I guess we'll go oldest first. That's going to be this guy here. This is the 1984 Kenner Superman. He is in very good condition for being nearly 30 years old. His S in the back is very nice, very crisp. I've heard other people use. Very little paint wear. There's a little bit of paint wear in the S, but not bad. The action still works when you squeeze his legs. A little bit of paint wear there at the top of his head, you can see. But overall, just a really solid Superman figure. Especially for being as old as it is, being from 1984. Articulation, it of course has knee articulation there, and the legs move back and forth, and then the arm articulation is a little difficult to deal with because of the power action. It doesn't make him really poseable. He doesn't even have an elbow articulation, so he's not really poseable in that sense, but he was always a great figure. He was my favorite figure when I was a kid. I had probably 2 or 3 of this guy. If I can get him to stand now. Always one of my favorite figures. I definitely had a lot of the Superpowers figures when I was younger, and of course he was the top of the food chain with those. So the next in the oldest here, I believe, is going to then be this guy here. Now he is, and this isn't his original base, by the way. It came with a very similar base, the S symbol base, but this wasn't his. Again, the classic costume. This is the one that came in the Superman Doomsday 2-pack with the comic. I actually picked this guy up at a local game store. There was him and a Batman. I actually regret not picking up the Batman at the time, but I actually got him. I'd been looking for him for years, or at least a variation of him. And I got him for a really good price. I got him for like $7, and I was ecstatic about this. My wife was just looking at me like I was crazy, because I was so happy that I'd finally been able to find this figure. But again, he has the classic costume, the red undershorts on the outside. The paint app is very nice. As you can see there on the top of the belt buckle, there is a bit of red. He, of course, does have that very nice yellow S on the back. And the cape does kind of droop down a bit, kind of like the Alex Ross versions. Cape is very light and mobile. He does have some ankle issues, at least this one does, which is why I've got him on the base, otherwise he tends to like to fall over. I do really like the face sculpt on here. It is a very traditional Superman look. A lot of articulation on this character. He does suffer from, unfortunately, a weak ankle joint, and he's also got a weak couple of hand-wrist joints here. But this figure had 21 points of articulation, and for the way the sculpt was done and as many points of articulation that this figure has, it's one of the most amazing DC Directs they've put out. Because you see them now with trying to get the articulation with like the waist crunch and all of that. I mean, they pulled off 21 points and still made the sculpt look this good, still statuesque. A very, very nice figure. I do have a couple others of this figure. I do have the single carded version, and you can tell the difference when it comes to the S. That's how you're going to tell the difference between the Superman Doomsday and the single carded ones that came out. The single carded, the S is a little thicker, and this has got a thin middle bar on that S. Alright, next here is going to be the Super Friend Superman. And as you can see, I've got him on his base here. They made these bases a little weird for the Super Friends. I'm glad it came with a base, because as much as you pay for a DC Direct or DC Collectibles, as they're known now, figure, there's no reason that every one of these figures should not come with a base. Even if it's a plain black base. I picked up a figure actually today, and all it came with was just a plain black base. But you know what? That was fine. They don't have to do anything super fancy. I mean, I love those S bases that the previous one we just looked at was on. I mean, that was great with those figures that came with it, but anything, just a standard black base, something that you can put them on, because I mean, a lot of these aren't put in big box stores, they're not put in big retail stores. Most of the people that are buying these DC Direct type figures, they're buying them for display. I mean, this isn't really something that's handed to a kid to play with. They're just too expensive for that. I mean, granted, I'm sure some are, but for the most part, it's going to be people like me and people like you who are collecting these, putting them on display, and we want them to be able to stand right. We want to be able to even pose them a little bit, which is a little bit easier to do with that base, giving them some if I can speak, stability. But enough about that. I mean, he really does have some decent articulation. He's got a standard ball joint in the shoulders that can move up, down, and forward. He does have elbow articulation. There is no wrist articulation. And then he does have no waist articulation. He does go back and forth with legs, and of course there is a knee articulation. And then again with the beautiful yellow S here on the back of the cape. I really miss that in a lot of the newer versions of Superman. The animated series, I guess that's not really new. Showing my age a little bit there. I was pretty old when that actually came out. But Man of Steel, the Justice League cartoons, and the majority of the DC animated movies, he's missing that yellow S. I was actually very happy to see in Superman Unbound, one of the latest movies that came out, they actually put the yellow S back on, and it was great. It was nice to see it. Alright, so that is the Super Friends figure. And somebody just came online on Xbox Live. Alright, next, not really sure about age at this point, so we'll just go start here. This is just it's a bobblehead. It's not actually a figure, of course, but it's a cool little bobblehead. It does have the classic costume. The S is very nice here on it. He should agree with me. So yes, he agrees with me. The S is very nice. And then, of course, we do have a nice big yellow S in the back, and this one does actually have a black outline on it, which makes it stand out a bit more. Alright, and then we've just got this this little Lego guy here. He came with the Lex Luthor battle armor set along with Wonder Woman. Yeah, it's cool. It's just a little Lego Superman. I mean, for the size that he is, I mean, you can tell how small he is with me holding it. I mean, I realize it's most likely a sticker that's on there, but I mean, the S is very nice. Of course, for this, there is no yellow S on the back. But for the little guy he is, I mean, he actually does have, arm articulation and leg articulation. And as long as you've got a little Lego peg to stand him on, you can pretty much get him however you want him. Let's just put him up there with the bobblehead. Alright, next is going to be I think this is Play School Superman. I actually picked him up. There was a little comic shop that opened in my hometown I was visiting. And I'm a big believer in supporting your local stores, because unfortunately when these places do go out of business, they rely on people like us to come in and make purchases. But unfortunately, with the way they are, generally their prices can be a little bit higher. I mean, I tend to make the majority of my purchases either on eBay or on Amazon.com. Amazon is great for picking up these figures at a decent price. I think the new 52 Superman's like $20. A lot of the Mattel stuff that you'd find in stores for around $20, you can get for $15, $14, $13. I'm kind of a little unhappy at all the Man of Steel figures are like $13 on Amazon right now. I paid $15.99 I think for all of them. I do have the entire 8 set. But had I waited, which I couldn't, and you probably couldn't either. If you're watching these videos, you're most likely a collector as well, or just like to look at this stuff. But yeah, I mean, most of us who bought these figures weren't waiting. So I mean, the people that are getting them now most likely are going to be the parents that are opening them up and you know, giving them to the kids. Are not going to be, you know, cared for, displayed, or kept on card like someone like you or I would. Alright, and lastly, for classic costume, we have the Mego reissue Superman. Now, there is a very quick way to tell a reissue versus the original, and that is the belt. I don't know if you can see it. Let me angle it. On the original Mego, it was just a yellow strip. That's all there was for the belt. I've never actually held an original Mego, so I don't know any other differences, but if you just are quick glancing and you want to know if it's an original or if you want to know if it's the reissue, the belt's going to tell you. It has the buckle. It also has the 2 red straps on it, whereas that original Mego, if you look up pictures of it, it's just a yellow strip. He, of course, does also have the yellow S with the black outline there in the back. Generally I have a problem with lighting in this room, but it seems like it's a little too bright today. And he's a little odd to stand because of just the way the Mego figures are. I generally have got to have him like almost hunched over, like he's got a stomachache or something. Alright, so there's my classic Superman collection. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pause this video, and I apologize, guys, this is going to be a decently long one. And next we're going to go to, I think we'll do variant costumes. I think we'll do variant costumes and Man of Steel next. And then we'll go into the New 52, and then we'll do villains and supporting characters. We'll do those all as once. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this real quick, and I'll be right back. Alright guys, I'm back. So now we're going to take a look at alternate costumes and the Man of Steel Supermans. Let's go ahead and start with the smallest one here. This is the... he bit it. This is the small 3.75 inch Superman for the New 52, or not New 52, but for the Man of Steel. I was very shocked to see that this actually came with a cloth cape. Now it's not a big cape. Obviously, it's all about the money with these little guys. It's basically just a strip of red cloth, not even a very wide strip of red cloth, just stuck in there under the headpiece. I was actually really disappointed with these figures. They're very cheaply made. I like the size of the S on his chest and how vibrant that is, but the figure itself, it's extremely cheap, and I've seen, I don't buy a lot of 3.75s. The only ones I really have is going to be like this one and then the Superpowers collection. I had actually picked up like 6 or 7 of these, and then I broke down and decided I was going to open this one because it was the movie costume without all the alternates that they did, and because I wanted to take a look at one close up. And I was so disappointed with how cheaply made that this was, that I actually ended up returning the other figures. And if I wanted to pick them up now, I think they're like clearanced at Walmart for like $5, but I don't. I mean, it's a good sculpt, I guess, for its size, but there's absolutely no leg bend. And I mean, there have been leg bends in action figures since, you know, the G.I. Joe 3.75s came out, you know, the 4-inch, whatever they were. That leg articulation has been there. It does have an arm articulation, but that's it. I mean, a little bit of head, legs move back and forth, and then arm articulation at both the ball joint at the shoulder and then the elbow. Yeah, I was really just disappointed with this figure overall. I mean, he's still a Superman figure. He's still going in the collection. He's still on display, but overall, they really could have done a much better job. Now let's take a look at his larger counterpart. Alright, this is, of course, the Mattel Man of Steel, 6-inch version. And, I mean, it's a decent figure. This is a decent figure overall. I really do like the sculpt on this. I do like the amount of articulation that Mattel was able to get in with this and still have it look statuesque. I mean, it does have waist articulation. It's got very nice ball joint shoulder. It has wrist. It has elbow. It has bicep. Of course, it has head. It does have leg back and forth, and then side to side. It's got thigh, knee, and then of course ankle articulation. I was pretty happy with this figure overall. Sorry, I know I'm a little off center here. I really do need to get a tripod, guys. I know a lot of people have been doing a lot of customization with these figures, and I've actually thought about it myself. I'm not a really big customizer. It's been a long time since I've done any paints. I do have one custom figure that I've been working on that you guys will see near the end of the video. He's going to be in with the support characters. And yeah, don't judge me on him. He's not done. He looks kind of terrible at the moment. But hopefully I'll have time to finish him and the skill to make him a little bit better. But this is the new 52. Let me see if I can get a little bit of light on him. There we go. The new 52 Superman. Jeez, I keep saying new 52. Mattel Movie Masters Man of Steel Superman. Okay. Next is going to be the Injustice Superman. And I do like this fig quite a bit. I actually broke down and just opened him recently. I was actually watching another video from another YouTuber who puts out great videos, great Superman-related videos. Throw a little shout-out to him. It's Stu Murray 47. If you haven't seen his channel, go ahead and take a look when you get done with this video. Alright, yeah, he's just not going to want to stand without the base. That's not his base. I put him on there because he just doesn't stand very well. He's a little back heavy. So he's another one where I've kind of got to lurch him forward to get him to stand without a base. This is from the Injustice game. It is the evil Superman. It is, I believe there's a variant out here that's got the matte leather top over here at the top of the cape. This is the glossy version. I do like that raised S on him. Let's see if we can get a better view of that. I do really like that raised S on him. I like the red splashes thrown in there. I could have probably done without the shin guards here, because that just seems like armor. I mean, granted, there's the armor up on the shoulders, but that's just kind of cool looking. These down here I kind of could have done without. But I do like the red splotches here and here. I mean, it's gotten away from doing the underwear, but it's still getting that red incorporated in with the statue or the action figure. Of course, he has no S in the back, but he is a very cool figure overall. I do like. I haven't noticed anybody else's, but mine, the temples are a little gray here on him. And I actually think this would make a good customization figure for doing like the Superman Beyond figure, because it's already got the gray in the temples there. It might be a little bit difficult because of the shoulder pads and the raised S, but the head at least might be good for that type of figure. Alright, and the last one we're going to take a look at for alternate costumes is going to be the figure that I actually picked up today. And this is Superman as Nightwing. And of course, when you think Nightwing, you're thinking Batman's partner, the first Robin, Dick Grayson. But this is a character that Superman took on when he was in the bottle city of Kandor, and he was framed for a crime he didn't commit. Him and Jimmy Olsen became Nightwing and Flamebird. I got a good deal on him. I mean, generally, I like my Superman characters to bear the S in some way, shape, or form, but I mean, it's still Superman. Again, he's kind of has to be hunched over to get him to stand correctly. But with this one, I kind of like that. He's got, of course, the little jetpacks on the side. He's got nice little flares coming off the boots and coming off of his gloves. It is basically, it's like a Superman's variation of the Batman costume. Of course, instead of a cowl, he went with kind of an open-eyed domino there. Very cool overall. I do like how the inside of the cape is a darker color, and then the outside of the cape does match basically the rest of the costume. It is a very monotone costume. Other than the logo and that jetpack belt there, it is pretty much just that one color, except for the inside there of the cape that's got that darker blue there. Cool figure overall. I was happy to get him, especially at the price I got him for. So yeah, I mean, he's definitely something I'm happy to add to the collection. The black base that I had Mr. Injustice here sitting on is actually the base that he came with, and definitely would like to see more. I mean, I realize this is an older DC Direct figure, but I would like to see them come back to using more bases in their figures. Alright guys, I realize this is getting to be an awfully long video, but I tell you what, we're just going to look at everything else in one shot. We've got New 52 and supporting characters and villains to look at still. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at those guys in one straight shot and get it over with. Because I know you're probably waiting for this video to be over. I think we're at about 20 minutes now. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this one more time while I get the rest of the figures out, and we'll take a quick look at them. Alright guys, we're back. We're going to go down the line here, starting with the New 52 Superman. And then villains, and then finally supporting characters. Here's a look at them all before we start the reviews of them. Now, I know I don't go into as much detail as a lot of other reviewers do. I guess I'm just not that good at this yet. But let's take a look here. Let's start with the Mattel version. Mattel did come out with two versions of the New 52 Superman. There's the metallic, which is this one. There's also a matte finish. I do also have the matte finish. I do, however, still have him on card, though. He is right here. I also have another of the the metallic finish on card still. Anybody who watch my videos knows that I do like to have a spare before I open anything up. Now, as you can see, this does have a lot of the standard Mattel articulation. Very small ass. Of course, he does have the ab crunch. I've noticed that at least on all the metallic versions I've seen, that ankle joint on his left foot there is always a little messed up. And my other version, it's a little messed up too. I don't know if it was a problem with quality control in the factory, but whatever. But yeah, I've noticed on all of them. The other problem I have with this is his head is tiny. Even compared to other Mattel, sorry guys, get that centered a little bit better. Even compared with other Mattel figures, he's got a very little tiny narrow head. But of course, this was the New 52 versions that were available before DC Collectibles came out with theirs, and this is, of course, does have the black S on the back. I do think that is, maybe it's not just a sticker, but this is a reissue cape. This is a cape that that's been used in prior Superman figures. I've seen it with the yellow S on the back with prior DC UC figures. And they just went ahead and just reused it for the New 52, which is unfortunate because the New 52 Superman does have a bit of a variant to his cape. He's got that point to it. So, I mean, this wasn't really comic accurate. I guess it was all in it except for that, but I mean, that's a pretty important portion there with the new cape is to have that point on it. Because that was one of the major, I guess, costume changes for Superman. You can see with a bit of a closer look that he does have the lining, though it's not very noticeable on here because it is just a big mass of blue. Sorry, I know my centering is taking a terrible hit here. I really do need a tripod. I just can't speak tonight. Alright, next is the DC Direct. Now this is the single card Superman. I do have the 7-pack We Can Be Heroes as well that's got the alternate head sculpt on it. I have not opened that though, and I have absolutely no intention of opening it. I have been trying to find on eBay somebody who's getting rid of that. A lot of people opened up that pack for some of the other characters. Why would they want anything other than the Big Blue Boy Scout himself? That makes it a little bit better there, turning off that light. I don't know. But yeah, if I can find him just by himself, because I'm definitely not picking up another 7-pack just for that one alternate head sculpt. But the new 52 DC Collectibles Superman is just flat out amazing. Just the size of that S, he doesn't have a great deal of articulation, but he doesn't need it. I mean, just standing there, that's Superman. I mean, that's what you want to see in a Superman figure. He of course does have that black S there in the back. Does have a little bit of the droop to the cape, kind of like the Alex Ross version. Of course, he does have the new high collar. The only complaints I really have about this fig is one little bit of a quality control issue. If you can see it there, that little bit of red splotch there on his leg. And I don't like... Uh-oh, domino effect. I don't like the fact that his head really doesn't go any higher than that. He's got that kind of looking down on you look to him. I would like his head to be able to tilt back a little bit more. Alright, and then we have, last for the new 52, is the new metallic Superman. And he came out with the 3-pack, the Trinity War 3-pack, and he is just amazing. That S there is red and gold instead of red and yellow. The metallic paint job with a nice black lining on his costume is just amazing. This figure overall is probably one of the best Superman figures I've ever seen. And I've got him kind of in a flying pose. I actually had a spare Hot Toys base for the Christopher Reeves Hot Toy figure, because my original one, when I was putting this portion in here, actually slipped and scratched across the S. And I actually should have my Christopher Reeve figure on this one, but I don't for whatever reason. But I've gone ahead and put him on here because it does give him a little bit of up in the air, and when they're on display in the cabinet, it puts him a little bit above everybody else. Alright, so there's new 52. Basically, you've got him right there in line from worst to best. I mean, the standard DC Collectibles one is amazing, but that metallic paint job it's great. Alright, so next we're going to do villains. Here we have one of my favorite villains of all time. Because, I mean, it's evil Superman. You've got Bizarro. And the only thing I am missing on this figure is he should have a necklace that says, of course, Bizarro #1. But I lost that, God, years and years ago, probably a decade ago when I bought this figure. But, of course, he does have the purple outfit with the reversed S on there. The face sculpt is just amazing. He, of course, does have the yellow S on the... Sorry, guys. The yellow S on the back here. Little bit of wear on that. I have had this guy for quite a many years. Had a little bit of problems with his ankle joints as well. But overall, he's an amazing figure. Now, from that same era, we have the Cyborg Superman. Now, out of my Superman villains, this is it. This is the best you're going to get. Just the way that the S color changes from the standard to the robot, the way that they did all the robotic figures with the black wash in the back, really just makes everything kind of pop out. That face, The way everything makes now. The problem with this guy is I actually picked him up at Comic-Con loose, and there goes Bizarro. I do have an in-package version of him, which is extremely expensive. It's the most I've ever paid for a standard figure. Most I'm probably ever going to pay for a standard figure. But I had to have them because I have the entire run of this set. There's 10 figures, came out a couple years apart, all with very similar card backs. All came with that Superman S symbol that we saw in one of the earlier figures. But yeah, the problem with him is this leg here. I believe it had been glued previously, and then when I got him and I tried to get him to articulate with that leg, I kind of broke him again and I had to re-glue him. So that leg, at least the knee joint, does not move in any way, shape, or form. Now, if I were to ever resell him, of course, that'd be something that I would list on him. I wasn't real pleased when I got him home and realized that, but I have him just for display. And as a display piece, he is just awesome. You're really not going to get a better cyborg Superman. Maybe if they put a new 52 one out, I'd like to have them side by side. That would be just fantastic to have those two guys standing side by side. And of course, he does have that yellow S on the back. Now, the last villain we're going to take a look at is going to be the oldest and most classic of the Superman villains, of course, Lex Luthor Super Friends figure. Old Lex here, he has been with the Man of Steel. Actually, this was pretty much the first incarnation of Superman, really. I mean, if you look at that early comic book before that June issue, in the 1930s of Superman, when we got him in his costume, Schuster and Siegel had actually done a previous Superman where he was a bald-headed villain. And they actually retooled him into Lex Luthor at a later time, actually first just known as Luthor. He didn't actually get Lex until I think it was the 1960s. He was just known as Luthor. Overall, very nice figure. Same articulation as the Superman that was a two-piece set that we looked at earlier, the Super Friends Superman. They have the same base, of course. Came with a couple accessories, the Legion of Doom, which I actually have set up with something else on display, and then a piece of kryptonite, which I actually didn't. It's still in the box. Very classic Luthor. Purple and green and just looking maniacal and got that, those mad scientist eyebrows. I mean, I don't know how eyebrows are mad scientists, but he's pulling it off there. So that's it for villains. Now let's go ahead and take a look at supporting characters. And let's start with the granddaddy of supporting characters at all, Superman's daddy, Jor-el. Now this, of course, is the Jor-el from the movie Masters line with Man of Steel. Decent articulation, little bit of hindrances with the armor that stops him. Mine does have a rather loose head, so it kind of bobbles around if he gets shook in any way, shape, or form. But overall, I mean, it's an incredible sculpt. They did a really nice job for Movie Masters, and he's actually got a lot of heft to him. I know a lot of people were really down on this figure, saying, oh, well, it doesn't look like Russell Crowe. Well, it's a Mattel figure. You need to get over that. These things are mass-produced. I mean, there's probably literally millions of these figures out there. So get over the fact that it doesn't look like Russell Crowe. It does look like him for as well as they're going to do on a Mattel figure. And I really like the figure. I do have him on display with the rest of my Superman figures, and you got to give him respect because he bears the S. Next for support is going to be from that same set as the Bizarro and the Cyborg Superman, and that is Steel. Like with the Cyborg, this is the very best Steel that you're going to come across. Every other Steel figure that has come out is just a poor imitation when compared to this guy. I actually just picked up a second loose version of him because he was such a good deal. I got him on eBay for like 12 bucks, which is amazing because generally he goes even loose for 20 to 30. And I thought, well, for $12, I'm swiping him up. So I do have two of him. I've also got him, of course, in package, and he's trying to tip on me. He's got the lean back, and I don't know that I'm going to be able to stop him in this position. Oh, there he goes. He, of course, does have his hammer. He's got that big, beautiful metallic S on the front. He has got a lot of weight to him. He does have that big yellow S on the back. Just an amazing, amazing figure overall. Alright, we're getting down to the end, guys, I swear. I know this has been an extremely long video, and I do apologize for that. Next, we have Supergirl. This is the Alex Ross Supergirl. And, you know, for some of these guys, the light's helping. Some of them it's not. So, she's definitely not having the light help her. I'm just going to have to set her down. Let me get that light off. Alright. Very small S. I did like this costume. I actually like the costume more that she wore right before she died in Crisis on Infinite Earths. And I do have the little Crisis on Infinite Earths Mattel. She does not have the yellow S on the back. One thing I don't like about her is her waist. I'm trying to get a better angle on that. If you can see here, her waist comes down very narrowly, and then that belt is just like sticking way out there around. There's just a big gap between the belt and the actual blue part of her waist. One of the things I really didn't care for on this figure. Another thing is, well, she has decent articulation with ball joints in the shoulders, of course, hand and elbow and knee, and of course the legs move back and forward. There is no ankle articulation, and she's kind of a pain to stand. Basically, at the littlest thing, she will topple over. Just like that. Alright, and the very last figure, we're not going to get a really good close look on him because I don't want you guys to see how terrible of a customizer I am. He is a work in progress, but this is a custom I'm working on of the 1990s Superboy. Of course, the one that came out with the death of Superman. We've got the leather jacket. The goggles are a little bit different. I actually like the goggles because they're actually shaped kind of like the S-Shield. This figure was actually Animal Man. And you can tell I've got a Man of Steel S on there because that's the only sticker I had to throw on there. He is a work in progress, so I know his belt is terrible. I'm missing some yellow on the boots and a yellow band here on this leg, and then I need to do some silver highlighting on the coat and then fix the back of the coat here. Yeah, and actually when I picked up the version of Steel here, mint in package, it was actually a two-part sale on eBay that came with the Animal Man figure. And for the longest time I just had him kind of sitting off to the side behind some stuff because, I mean, he's Animal Man. I can't believe they even made the figure. And then one day I thought, well, you know, I could probably try to sell him on eBay, but really, how many Animal Man fans are out there that are going to be looking for this figure? And I thought, well, let me try to do some customization. It had been such a long time. You can see I've got some touch-ups to do in the paint there. I've got a lot of touch-ups to do, actually, and then the finishing of it. Who's really going to be looking for an Animal Man figure? So I figured, what the heck, let me bust out my paints. It's been a really long time. Let me see what I can do with it. Alright, he's okay. I mean, he's not anything great. I've seen some amazing customizations done by people that just blow this thing out of the water. It looks like this was done by, you know, like a 4-year-old. But it's something that I'm working on. He might not ever, well, he'll never be perfect. I mean, let's face it. But he'll be decent. He'll be, excuse me, good enough to go in the back of the cabinet. Maybe not in full view of everyone, but certainly kind of peeking his head out at the back there. Well, that is going to be my entire loose Superman collection. I didn't do statues. I'm going to be doing all of my statues. nail polish remover for getting glue off my hands. I'm going to be doing all my statues as one because I do have quite a few that are going to be added. I've got the new Kotobukiya Superman for Tomorrow statue that's going to be coming soon in the next month or so. I do know that some people have gotten their hands on it already, and I'm extremely jealous. I've got the All-Star Superman statue coming, and then of course I've got the Man of Steel Hot Toys coming. So we'll be doing a nice look at statues at that point once I've got those three added in, and we'll take a look at all the statues as a whole. But guys, I really want to thank you if you stuck with me through this entire video. I realize at this point it's like 40 minutes long. Thank you very much for sticking with me, taking a look here. Please go ahead and feel free to leave me a comment. You can feel free to tell me how bad this customization is. If you like the video, please go ahead and click like, share it with your friends, anybody who likes Superman. I'd like to get some more subscribers on here. If you're not a subscriber, please go ahead and click subscribe. And thank you very much for watching. You guys have a great night.